My nephew told my daughter at Christmas, "Your presents are from Walmart, mine are from Apple." My girl looked at her gift and said nothing. The whole drive home. At bedtime, he asked, "Mom, are we poor?" I said, "Check the app." She looked, counted the zeros, said, "Don't tell Grandma." That night, I updated the $6,800 family trip I'd booked. Mom called 44 times. My nephew held up his new iPad like a trophy and smirked at my daughter. "Your presents are from Walmart," he said. "Mine are from Apple." He said it loud right in front of the tree while wrapping paper was still everywhere, and the adults were half watching like they always do. My girl looked down at the box in her lap, a craft kit, one of those generic art sets with the crayons that break if you breathe on them too hard. The cheap plastic still had the Walmart clearance sticker on the bottom. Nobody corrected him. My sister laughed. "He's just excited," she said, scrolling her phone. My mom chuckled and added, "Well, we all do what we can. Some people can't afford Apple." That last line was for me. It always is. My daughter went very still. She didn't cry. She didn't say a word. She just kept her hand on the corner of the box like she was trying to hold on to something. I felt my face go hot. My hands prickled. I opened my mouth once, twice, and closed it again. The room smelled like ham and cinnamon and whatever fake pine candle my mom buys in bulk. It all made me a little sick. On the drive home, my daughter stared out of the window, hugging that craft kit. It still had the gift tag on it, to Zoe from Grandma and Grandpa. She only said one thing the whole ride. "Mom, are we poor?" My throat closed up. For a second, I couldn't answer. I drive a 2021 SUV. I wear decent clothes. We live in a small but nice townhouse. But my family has been saying versions of that sentence her whole life, so of course it finally landed. "Why do you think that?" I asked. She shrugged, eyes still on the dark road. "Because their stuff is from Apple. Mine is from Walmart." I swallowed. "Go check the app when we get home," I said. She looked confused, but nodded. "I'm 37. I live in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. I'm a senior software developer for an IT company. I make good money. Not billionaire money, but enough that my bills are paid, my car is paid off, and there's a healthy emergency fund sitting in investments. I'm also divorced, which in my family still makes me the one who messed up. I have one kid, Zoe, 9 years old, quiet, thoughtful. The kind of kid who saves the last cookie to share with someone else. She loves drawing and coding little games on the tablet I bought her on sale last year. She doesn't care about brands, or at least she didn't. Not until my family taught her brands meant worth. My sister Diane is the golden child. Married, 3 kids, big house in the suburbs, paid for mostly by her in-laws. My brother Mike is the baby always figuring things out. Somehow that's taken 10 years. And then there's me, the reliable one, the one with the good job, the walking, talking overdraft protection. For years I've been their safety net. When Deanne's husband lost his job for 6 months, I covered their car payment just for a bit. 6 months turned into a year. When my parents were behind on their property taxes, I wrote a check for $2,400, and my mom said, "We'll pay you back," like it was a joke. When Mike's wife had their second baby and they were drowning, I set up a $300 a month transfer until you get back on your feet. And then the big one, the family vacation. Back in October, my mom started sighing over the phone about how it would be nice if we could all get away together one last time while the kids are still young. I'd just gotten my bonus, so like an idiot, I said I'll look into it. I booked a spring break trip for all of us. 7 nights at a resort in Florida. 2 suites with a connecting door, free breakfast, kids club, water park, the works flights included. Total after points and discounts, $6,812.36 on my card. My parents were supposed to cover their own food and parking. That was it. My mom cried when I sent the group text with the confirmation. She wrote, "You're saving this family." Funny, I thought that meant my kid would be treated like family too. Except every holiday, Zoe was the one with practical gifts. Last year, all the cousins got iPhones. Zoe got a clearance winter coat because kids grow so fast. I found the red clearance sticker still on the tag. The year before that, my nephew got a gaming laptop. Zoe got a secondhand dollhouse my mom found on Facebook Marketplace. I told myself it didn't matter. She had everything she needed. I could buy her whatever I wanted. I didn't want to start a war over presents. So I smiled. I ordered takeout on the way home. I told Zoe how proud I was for being polite. I kept paying their bills. When we got home that night, the house felt extra quiet. I hung up our coats. Zoe went straight to the couch and sat down with the craft kit in her lap. "Go get my phone," I told her softly. She came back with it. I could still read around the edges, even though she hadn't actually cried. I opened my banking app and handed it to her. "Click the blue one," I said, "then click the numbers at the top." She tapped, frowned, and squinted at the screen. "It's big," she whispered. "How big?" I asked. She started counting the digits under her breath. 1, 2, 3. There's 2 commas. So that's how much I asked. "Enough," I said. "Enough that you never worry about lights or food or somewhere to sleep. Enough that we can go on trips. Enough that if your tablet breaks, we buy another one." She stared at the screen for another few seconds. Then she looked up at me with those serious eyes she has when she's doing math homework. "Don't tell Grandma," she said quietly. That one hurt more than everything from earlier. "Why not?" I asked. "'Cause then she said, voice small, they'll take it, and you'll buy them more trips, and then they'll still say, we're poor." I just sat there. All those automatic transfers. All the times my mom said we're barely getting by, while my dad sat in his recliner, watching football on the 70-inch TV I helped them finance. All the times Diane joked that Zoe would get used to hand-me-down Christmases. This wasn't about money. It was about power, about making sure Zoe knew her place. I kissed her forehead. "Go get your pajamas on," I said. "I'll be in a second." When she patted down the hallway, I opened a different app. The travel one. The family trip sat at the top. Spring break 2025. Family suite. 2 paid in full. Total $6,812.36. Guests 8. Notes 3 generations trip all grandkids. I stared at it for a long time. Then I clicked modify reservation. The system asked what I wanted to change guests' rooms dates. I tapped guests. A list popped up with everyone's names. I'd entered them all back when I was still excited. Mom, Dad, Diane, Diane's husband. Nephew 1, Nephew 2, niece, Zoe, me. I deselected all of them except Zoe and myself. The app gave me a warning banner. This change will reduce the number of guests and rooms on your booking. Some charges may be refunded as resort credit. Are you sure? Yes, I was sure. I changed the room type to 1 king with a pull-out sofa. 2 guests instead of 8. Same dates. The total dropped. New amount $3,941.10. A line appeared under it. Refund pending $3,718.26. I stared at the difference. That was how much I'd been spending to drag people along who couldn't bother to correct a 9-year-old being told she was Walmart. I hit confirm. A little spinning circle, then a green check mark. Reservation updated. Confirmation emailed. I took a screenshot of the new total and the new guest count and saved it. Then I opened my banking app again and canceled 2 monthly transfers. $300 automatic to my parents' joint account on the 1st. $300 to Mike and his wife on the 15th. Both got the same note in the memo box before I hit save. Effective immediately. I will no longer be sending regular support. Please adjust your budget. No speech, no dramatic text, just clicks and confirmations. My phone buzzed with the confirmation emails. I set it face down on the table, went to tuck Zoe in, and pretended everything was normal. They found out the next morning. Of course they did. My mom lives in her email like it's her job. The original reservation had been forwarded to her with about 17 exclamation points. At 8:03 a.m., the first call came. Mom flashed on my screen while I was pouring cereal. I let it go to voicemail. At 8:05, Diane. 8:07, Mom again. 8:10, Dad. By 10:00 a.m., I had 19 missed calls. By 3:00 p.m., it was 44. My group chat blew up. First, my sister. "Did you cancel the rooms? Tell me this is a mistake. Mom says the confirmation looks different." Then my mom. "Honey, call me now. The hotel says there are only 2 guests listed. That second room is gone. That must be a glitch. Fix it." I didn't reply. At 4:30, there was pounding on my front door. Not knocking. Pounding. Zoe looked up from the couch, eyes wide. "Is that Grandma?" "Go to your room, honey," I said. "Put your headphones on." She obeyed without arguing. That told me everything I needed to know about how she felt. I opened the door just enough to step outside and pull it closed behind me. My mom, my dad, and Diane were all on the porch. My mom already had her hurt mother face on. My dad looked pissed. Diane looked like someone had taken away her favorite toy. "What the hell did you do?" my dad snapped. I folded my arms. I updated my reservation. "It's not just your reservation. It's a family trip," my mom said, her voice quivering. It was. Now it's a trip for me and my daughter. Diane jumped in. "You can't do that. We already requested time off. The boys are excited. Mom's been planning outfits. You can't just yank it because of one bratty comment from a kid." There it was. My nephew's words dismissed as bratty. Zoe's face dismissed entirely. "It wasn't one comment," I said quietly. "Yesterday my daughter asked me if we're poor." My dad snorted. "Well, you're not exactly rolling in it." I showed her my account balance, I said. She counted the zeros. They actually leaned in a little at that. "And you know what she said?" I asked. No one answered. She said, "Don't tell Grandma." For a second, my mom's face flickered. Then she shook her head. She's just a child. You always twist things. I'm not twisting anything, I said. I'm correcting it. You don't get to treat my daughter like the charity case and then expect me to keep paying for your life. I'm not your backup bank. Diane scoffed. So you what? Punish everyone? Cancel everything over presents? No, I said. I canceled funding a vacation for people who think humiliating a 9-year-old is fine as long as the plane tickets are paid for. My dad jabbed a finger at me. We can't afford that trip without you. I know, I said. That's why I booked it in the first place. So fix it, my mom hissed. Put it back. You're being dramatic. I shook my head. No, you're off my accounts. Trip transfers everything. If you want to go on vacation, go. Just don't expect me to pay for it. They all started talking at once. This is vindictive. You're tearing the family apart. Think of the kids. Your sister can't cover her share. I just repeated the same sentence every time they paused to breathe. I won't fund a family my kid isn't fully part of. My mom's eyes went cold. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, I said. But Zoe won't. I stepped back inside and closed the door. They didn't knock again. The fallout lasted weeks. First, the guilt. Mom, after everything we've done for you. Mom, I carried you for 9 months. Diane, the boys are crying. Hope you're happy. Dad, you think you're better than us because you have some money in an app. Then the accusations. Diane, your ex must be in your ear. Mom, that company brainwashed you. Dad, you're letting money turn you into a monster. Every time I typed and erased replies. In the end, the only message I sent was this in the group chat. I am not paying for anything else. I will not fund trips bills or projects for people who let my child be treated as less. When she is treated like a granddaughter and a cousin, we can talk. Until then, we're done. After that, I muted the thread. The $300 transfers bounced back from my end with a little note in my bank app. Transfer canceled by user. It felt clean, like cutting a rope, not revenge. Just silence. Spring break came faster than I expected. The morning of our flight, Zoe woke up before my alarm. She patted into my room hair a mess, holding her stuffed bunny. Is it today? She whispered. Yeah, I smiled. It's today. At the airport, she looked around, eyes wide. We stopped at a coffee shop. She ordered hot chocolate and a muffin. I tapped my card without thinking about it. Do you think they're still going? She asked. Who, I asked, even though I knew. Grandma, Aunt Diane, the boys. I don't know, I said honestly. If they are, they're going somewhere else. She thought about that for a second, then nodded. Okay, she said. This one can just be ours. On the plane, I watched her press her nose against the window as we took off. She wasn't comparing brands. She wasn't looking around to see who had what. She just looked happy. At the resort, they upgraded us at check-in because we had extra capacity in the building. Turns out when you downsize from 2 suites to 1, they sometimes treat you nicer. We ended up with a corner room that overlooked the pool and the ocean. The first night we ate burgers by the water park and watched the sun go down. Zoe dipped a fry in ketchup, looked up at me, and said, Mom, this is like the pictures Grandma sends in the group chat. Yeah, I said, taking a bite, except you're actually in them. She giggled at that. Halfway through the week, we wandered into an outdoor mall. There was an Apple store on one end and a Walmart neighborhood market on the other. I watched Zoe clock both signs. Can I go in the Apple store? She asked. Sure, I said, bracing myself. She walked in, wandered around, touched a few iPads. A very seriously looking employee showed her the new tablets. She listened politely, then turned back to me. I like mine, she said. It still works. You don't want a new one, I asked. She shook her head. Maybe when this one is old. Can we get ice cream instead? We left without buying anything. On the way out, we passed a little kiosk that sold bracelets. She picked one with a tiny silver charm shaped like a laptop. It's not Apple, she said, grinning. It's just us. I bought it. That night, back in the room, she sat cross-legged on the bed with her bracelet on, sketching in a new notebook we'd picked up. I sat by the little table with my laptop open, going through emails. There was a new one from Diane. Hope you're enjoying your little solo trip. Mom's been a wreck. Dad had to cancel their vacation because of you. We're struggling, and you don't even care. This isn't what family does. For the first time, I didn't feel a twist of guilt reading something like that. I just felt tired. I typed back, I care about my family. That's why I'm here with my daughter. Then I closed the laptop. We celebrated Christmas at my house this year. Just a small thing. Me, Zoe, my friend Polly from work, her wife, their little boy, and surprised my brother Mike. He texted me in October. Hey, you were right about the money thing. We've been leaning on you too much. I'm sorry. The way Mom talks about Zoe isn't okay. We're taking a step back too. If you'll have us, we'd like to come by on Christmas. No drama, just pizza and movies. I said yes. We pulled out my mismatched plates, a cheap artificial tree Zoe and I decorated with paper stars and a tablecloth she painted herself. No perfect bows, no coordinated sweaters. Zoe handed Mike's baby a present. She'd picked herself, with her own allowance, a soft stuffed elephant. She watched his face the way she used to watch the cousins. When it was her turn, I gave her a medium-sized box. Not Apple branded, just brown cardboard with snowman wrapping paper. Inside was a drawing tablet. Not the top-of-the-line one, but solid. Something she could plug into my laptop and use for her art. Her jaw dropped. "For real," she whispered. "For real," I said, "because you're worth good things." She hugged me so hard my eyes stung. Later, after everyone left, our tiny living room was quiet. There were 2 empty chairs at the table where I deliberately set out extra plates, one for my mom, one for my dad. They stayed empty. Zoe noticed them when she came back from brushing her teeth. "Are those for Grandma and Grandpa?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, "just in case they ever decide to show up as people who love you the way you deserve." She thought about that for a second, then nodded. "Okay," she said, "they can stay empty for now." I tucked her in. She put her new bracelet on the nightstand next to her stuffed bunny and the craft kit she'd never opened. Not because it was from Walmart, just because she's more into drawing on screens now. "Mom," she said, half asleep. "Yeah, baby." "Next time they say we're poor," she yawned, "we don't have to show them the app, right?" "No," I said, smoothing her hair back. "We don't owe them proof of anything." She smiled into her pillow. "Good," she murmured. "They don't get our secrets." She fell asleep like that, peaceful. I went back to the kitchen, turned off the tree lights, and looked at the 2 empty chairs one more time. For the first time in my life, they didn't make me feel lonely. They just looked like what they were. Places reserved for people who haven't earned them yet. And my daughter, my little Walmart kid, who counted the zeros and told me not to tell Grandma, was upstairs in a warm bed, safe, loved, and finally learning that her value has nothing to do with whose name is on the box. If you're waiting for my unpopular opinion here, it is. I thought I was protecting my daughter by staying quiet, that keeping the peace was wisdom, that if I kept paying for their lives, they would at least treat my child with dignity. It was a deal I made with myself, one I never said out loud. But it only took one evening for Zoe to see what I'd spent years ignoring. Money without boundaries isn't love. It's permission. I learned that the silence of adults costs children more than any gift from Apple ever could. That family isn't blood or a shared vacation itinerary. It's how people treat your kid when they think you're not really watching. And most importantly, you don't have to prove your worth to people who have already decided not to see it. Not with a bank balance. Not with a resort booked for 8. Not with empty chairs kept warm just in case. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply leave quietly. No speeches. No dramatic confrontations in the group chat. Just click confirm and go tuck your daughter in.